Well, I apologize in advance for this match. Welcome everyone to the Knoxville Pokemon Regional Championships re-commentary. It is I, the NinjaNick333. You are on my channel, therefore that is who I am. It is Brandon Salazar on the left versus my friend Nick Moffitt here on the right. And this is a mess of a match, I do have to say. Absolute mess. And you will very much see why. Brandon Salazar is on Eternatus VMAX Galarian Weezing, and Moffitt is on Lost Box Rayquaza. Lost Box needs abilities to function. Galarian Weezing shuts off abilities. That's about it. That's all I gotta say on that. Brandon Salazar has not done anything too interesting within the last, few years. He got 2014 U.S. National Champion, 2015 Richmond Regional Finalist, 2015 U.S. Nationals Top 32, so won and then got Top 32, which is pretty great at U.S. Nationals back-to-back. The only U.S. Nationals I had gone to was 2016. That was my first and last one before they changed it to NAIC. Looks like at this last NAIC, he also got Top 64, so he still has been playing. He is playing this Eternatus VMAX Galarian Weezing deck that I hate with a burning passion, but might start testing soon because it's stupid. And I just love Eternatus, okay? He's cool looking. He's a darkness Pokemon. You can play Dark Patch in the deck. It plays kind of like Mega Rayquaza, which was one of my favorite decks back in the day. We have my boy, the one and only legend known as Nick Moffitt. He was top 4 at Orlando. He was top 4 at Salt Lake. He was top 8 at Baltimore, and he was top 4 at Salt Lake before that. That's pretty stellar accomplishments. The first and only time I made day 2 is his first time he made day 2. He is playing for a lot less time than I have, and his accomplishments are astronomically greater than mine. Nick Moffitt is probably one of the best players that I know personally. He can play very fast. He plays very well. He's very good with the Lost Box deck, which is one of the most skill-intensive decks in the format, because every single turn you have to make all of these micro decisions that just build up and can really punish you late game if you made the wrong decision. But unfortunately, his deck has an absolutely horrendous matchup to this. What they normally do, Moffitt's just reading his cards really close to see if there's literally anything that he can do in order to win against this stuff. He has no idea. I'm pretty sure he has never played this matchup before in his life. But yeah, looks like Brandon is prizing a Dark Patch and a Weezing. So if he can prize double Weezing, that's the ideal way. But I have seen this match. I watched it in the car. I wish I could have stayed at the tournament to cheer him on, but I had a 14-hour cumulative drive home after stops. So gave him a nice handshake before he played top 8 and just dipped. It looks like Moffitt also prizes double Colress, which is very unfortunate for him. He's waving to the crowd there. So yeah, what Pokemon likes to do is they like to do top 8 on one side of the bracket, and then they do top 4 on the other side of the bracket, so that you can get some different players on stream. I think personally that they should not have put this match on. It is so absolutely god-awfully one-sided in the side of Galarian Weezing that you this is just Nick's just flailing this entire match. That's all I have to say. I'm sorry that I'm spoiling it, but this is an absolute mess. It's a train. It's like when you see a train wreck happening and you don't call anybody to stop it. You just pull out your phone and watch, record it, put it on YouTube. I mean, this is what I'm doing. I'm putting it on YouTube. So very unfortunate for Nick to have to be in this matchup. Very unfortunate that it has to be live streamed as well, which is just gross. If I were the commentators, I would have just selected the same side of the bracket 2 rounds in a row, honestly. Either that, or I would have selected the Moffitt's game for top 8 and then gone to the other side of the bracket for that. So, anyway, Moffitt does Lost Zone a couple of cards. Going first, he was asking on Twitter, he's like, should I go first in this matchup or should I go second? It is a very interesting decision. If you do go second and they do miss the boost shake, you can get a turn where you can both play Chorus's Experiment and item cards at the same turn. and have full access to all of your Comfeys and Colress's Experiment all like at the same time, so you can dig really far into your deck. But if your opponent gets Boost Shake, you just lose. So at least this way he was able to get a couple of cards in the Lost Zone. The way Lost Zone decks operate is you get cards in the Lost Zone, and then cards can only be played after you get a certain amount in the Lost Zone. So Mirage Gate can only work if you have 7 in the Lost Zone. Sableye only works if you have 10 in the Lost Zone. Cramorant only works if you have 4 in the Lost Zone. And we do see already double coughing start from Brandon here. Mr. Salazar Slytherin himself is going to be getting those slithery Eternatus Basilisks into play out from the Chamber of Secrets known as his deck. First, we are going to Crobat. We are going to Dark Assets for some extra cards. You would think for all of the fragile bench sitters that this puts into play, like the Crobat, that you would think that it would just be a good matchup for literally anything. But this, if you want to beat Lost Zone, you play Eternatus. You play Galarian Weezing. There is a quad Galarian Weezing deck, I do believe, as well. It's actually a lot worse than the Eternatus version, because the Eternatus can, like, turn aggressive out of nowhere as well, and just hit you for, like, 270, Choice Belt 300. Looks like he is going to go for the Judge as well. So whatever cards Moffat stacked into his hand are now going back into the deck, and he's going to be drawing a fresh 4. Both players are drawing a fresh 4 after shuffling their deck. So Moffat still looking out at the crowd. Honest to God, I know what he is thinking. He's like, what in the heck do I do against this? This is a slaughter. There are things that Moffat can do, though. If he is able to get, say, a Boss's Orders or Serena, and is able to bring up maybe the Eternatus or the Crobat, then that will allow his abilities to come back online. But these Lost Zone decks don't generally play high counts of cards like those. They're more into playing Colress's Experiment every turn. So by the way that the Lost Zone decks are just built, it makes this Eternatus Galarian Weezing just a very good counter. So we do see the Ascension from the coughing. For 1 Darkness Energy, you can search your deck for its evolution and put it onto the Pokemon to evolve it. You can still do that on the first turn, since it's the effect of an attack. So, going second, you do get Neutralizing Gas into play. Galarian Weezing's Neutralizing Gas says your opponent has no abilities if this card is active. So, Moffat's only way out of the ability lock is to Boss's Orders. Looks like Moffat just benches Rayquaza Pass. He can't even use his active Comfey. It's even worse than playing against Vikavolt, which is also another not too great of a matchup. So we are going to see an Ultra Ball is grabbing Brandon, another Crobat V. He will be able to dig even further into his deck here to try to get to any of the cards he needs. He probably might want to see something along the... Well, he doesn't really need Radiant Hisuian Sneasler. Which is a card that he does play. It allows his poison to do 2 more damage counters. The severe poison attack from the Galarian Weezing as well for the 1 Darkness Energy does do 4 damage counters of poison between turns instead of the normal poison damage. So with the Hisuian Sneasler, it's actually 60 instead, 6 damage counters. But the Comfey gets 2-shot by the Galarian Weezing, so you can see how the math works very much in the favor of Brandon here. Moffat looks like maybe quick balling. If he just passes here without moving this Comfey, the Comfey will get knocked out going into Brandon's turn, and he will just be able to severe poison yet again. So, again, very unfortunate matchup here for Moffat. He is going to try to do whatever he can to try to come back into this. The best case scenario, honestly, for him is to just hard charge up a Raikou. If he can just hard attach all 3 different colors of energy that it needs turn after turn while letting other things get knocked out in the active, you could potentially take some knockouts on these Weezings. But, ugh, it's not good, man. It's not good. We do see the Cramorant become active. If he did have 4 cards in the Lost Zone, this Cramorant would be able to attack for free with its ability. However, the ability is shut off by Galarian Weezing. So, even if he had the cards in the Lost Zone to do this, the Galarian Weezing says no. This deck is literally just a big no. So yeah, feel very bad for Moffat here. So we do see the severe poison yet again. Since he gets the Radiant Hisuian Sneasler down, the damage does matter here now, because now the Cramorant gets knocked out going into his opponent's turn. Again, Moffat just draw passes, looks at the crowd, you can tell through his mask, he has a big smile on his face. He's like, what am I supposed to do? Oh god, why did they stream this? I don't understand, why did they stream this matchup? This is so god awful, and I felt so bad watching this. I feel even worse watching this the second time. So you can tell Moffat's a little frustrated. He's trying to draw, and he's like dropping his cards. He just lets the Oranguru die. He doesn't know what to promote even. Moffat is trying his best to mid-match try to piece together some sort of win condition, but it's just so... you just can't do anything to Galarian Weezing. You really can't. Even if you get a Raikou charged up, you still don't one-shot a Galarian Weezing because it has 130 HP. You need to do an additional 10 to it, and you can't play something like Galarian Zigzagoon because that will just not have an ability. You really just need to boss his orders. But if you boss his orders, you then can't play Colress's Experiment. So then you're in that bind as well. It's just so bad. It's just so bad. This is like a hard counter to this deck in specific. So yep, the Galarian Weezing with his poison beard and mustache, with his Doug Dimmadome, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome top hat, is just going ham right now. He doesn't even need to be made out of pork to go ham. And again, Sableye just gets severe poison. Moffat just extends the handshake. He's like, I can't do this match anymore. Is gonna go immediately into game 2. So I do believe that Moffat like shrugs to the crowd and everything during this part too. So we are gonna make sure that we see that. It is also 75 minutes for the best of 3. So they are in, they still only played about 10 minutes. Moffat is looking to the crowd. He's like giggling a little bit. He's like, what do I do? Like, what do I do? It's very unfortunate for him because he's gotten like 3 top 4s as his best finishes at regionals, and he cannot for the life of him get past top 4. And I actually tweeted at him. I said like, this is like anime protagonist power, like, you know, like how in the anime of Pokemon, how Ash Ketchum had to be put against a dude with a Latios and a Darkrai in order to lose his like top cut match of whatever, of his like Sinnoh League or whatever it was. And yeah, Moffat is like, it's really like God is running out of ways to keep this man down, to keep him from the finals of a Pokemon Regional Championship. Absolutely disgusting. Brandon is still thoroughly shuffling his deck. Make sure that he does not have those Pokemon stacked together because they were all in one pile when they were, you know, picked up from the bench. So Moffat is deciding whether or not he wants to go first. He tried going first in the first game, I do believe. And I think he's going to try to go second this game, if I remember correctly. There is a mulligan, so Moffat will be able to draw an additional card. So maybe that will help him. And if Brandon is able to miss the boost shake, that will give Moffat the most outs to be able to actually play this game. But again, we will just have to see. We will have to see if he can get there or not. I would love to see a game 3 from here. Also, Brandon is 12-1-2 and Moffat is 11-2-2. So Brandon's record is actually a little bit better, surprisingly. I do believe Andrew Hedrick, who won Orlando Regionals, is in top 4 right now versus Rahul. And he was 13-0 so far at this regional. He started 9-0. He proceeded to win the first 4 rounds of day 2 as well. Then he lost to Brandon Salazar. And then scooped to Piper Lapine. So he like intentionally scooped Piper Lapine in. So I would have loved to see him beat Piper just to say he went to 42 match points, or even ID with Piper to see if he could go to 40 match points, because he would have been the first person in history, I do believe, to ever go to 40 match points. So yeah, I do believe that he is allowing Brandon to go first, just because he's got to try something different. The first game, it did not work very well for him. So, going first. So he is just going to try to beat the Ascension and hope that the Boost Shake does not come out. Brandon does only have access to 1 Crobat a turn. Crobat V says you can only use Dark Asset, the ability, once per turn. A lot less broken than the Shaman EX of the good old days. I do miss that card. That is banned and expanded right now. So we have to make sure that the Boost Shake is not prized, and we have to draw into it this turn in order to make sure that Moffat is as shut down as possible. If you can see that Boost Shake this turn, you've basically won the game. Moffat doesn't have a single card in the Lost Zone whatsoever. He hasn't even had a turn yet. And on the next turn, you can just start using Severe Poison again. It makes me wonder if you're Brandon, if you even put any Pokemon into play in this matchup that aren't named Galarian Weezing. Like, just put 2 Coughing into play, to get 2 Galarian Weezing into play turn 2, and then just do that, and make it so Boss's orders is not an option. You want to make sure you have a second Pokemon in play, just in case your first Galarian Weezing somehow gets knocked out. Looks like Moffat's dropping a card from his own hand even. So we are going to see the Eternatus get benched. We do see the Dark Patch putting that Dark Energy into play. And we are going to see the Crobat draw, I think, 4 cards? No, 5. This deck does play the Temple of Sinnoh to try to counter Lugia and Regigigas a little bit. So he's used Dark Patch for his 1 energy in play. So he still has the ability to play another energy. Looks like he does whiff the Boost Shake or a Draw Supporter in order to try to draw into the Boost Shake. So this gives Moffat the best odds of a first turn as possible. We are going to have to see if this does allow Moffat to play the game now. Moffat is sorting out his deck a little bit to see what cards he does have access to. Putting the energies to the back, the Pokemon to the front. And I believe the supporter cards together as well he was doing. In the middle of the deck. Just to make sure we are fully aware of what is prized and what is not. We do get the Radiant Greninja Comfey. Again, you have a Comfey active, you want to get Radiant Greninja Comfey. I sound like a broken record at this point. We've seen so many of these Lost Box decks. We've seen so many Lugia decks. At least it's a little refreshing to see something different here in top 4 for this Radiant... sorry, I keep saying Radiant Eternatus because that just was printed, but that card's bad. No, the Eternatus VMAX Galarian Weezing deck is at least something new that we can see on stream. Moffat is taking notes. He is identifying what is exactly in his prize cards. You definitely need to know, especially with a deck like Lost Box. If you are not able to identify all 6 prize cards on the first turn, you are in a bad spot. I know that there are some people Twitter warring about how you should be able to just look at your prize cards when you first put them down, and like look at your prize cards and then shuffle them. I think that that's dumb. You should just be skilled enough to look at to identify your prize cards. Every other game is like that too. Kaijudo was like that. Dragon Ball Super is like that. I think One Piece plays the same as Dragon Ball Super. I believe. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know anything about One Piece. Your life cards are all the same in the decks, in the games that play life cards. The only difference in Pokemon is that the opposite person takes them. So it's a lot less balanced in Pokemon. Moffat is deciding between his two energies. Does he want to attack with Raikou this game, or does he want to attack with the Rayquaza Amazing Rare? So, Raikou Amazing Rare or Rayquaza Amazing Rare? He's choosing the Raikou. I definitely think that that is correct. I think he made the correct choice, Lost Zoning the Fighting Energy here. He'll still have another one to be able to use, but looks like we're going to try to draw into a Colress's Experiment, but we haven't gotten there yet. We are going to use another Comfey here, Flower Selecting. Moffat is playing this turn very methodically. Moffat is a player that tends to play very fast, but he has learned how to slow down recently, and that is why he has been able to make so many top cuts. Because he used to just play very well at a very fast pace, but he would make a lot of mistakes by going that fast. Like, it's almost like an autopilot, because Moffat his brain just works on what I would consider a higher level than most. But again, if you're going to go that fast, you're still going to make mistakes. So he is choosing to Lost Zone the Energy Recycler early. I think that that's fine. You just got to get some cards in the Lost Zone here. We are going to scoop up net yet again. We're going to put another Comfey up. We're going to Flower Selecting yet again. Look at the top two. We're going to Lost Zone a Manaphy. Definitely don't need that in this matchup whatsoever. We are going to Hisuian Heavy Ball. We are going to see our full 6 prize cards, so if we have not identified them already, we definitely will have them identified now. If he ended up missing any or not. There are no... I don't think there's any Pokemon in there. Yeah, again, really not sure why the commentators decided to put this game on stream, because this is a mess. They still have 56 minutes left, so if Moffat is able to pull out this game somehow, he will be able to get there, but he has not seen a Colress's Experiment yet. Brandon does catch that he accidentally put the Hisuian Heavy Ball into the discard, which you're supposed to put it in prize cards if you take a Pokemon out with it. Very easy mistake a lot of players make, because you're so used to just playing a card directly into the discard pile, because it's usually a lot simpler and easier to do it that way. We still see that there is a Rayquaza Amazing Rare in the prize cards. We also see a Colress's Experiment there. We're going to Lost Zone the Temple of Sinnoh. Perfectly fine, because that's not really usable in this matchup. Your opponent is only playing basic energy. In fact, they are playing Temple of Sinnoh of their own. So, looks like we are going to get to a Battle VIP pass. That will get an additional couple Pokemon in play. Looks like we're going to choose the Rayquaza, and I would think maybe maybe the Raikou as well. Looks like Monkey, maybe. Maybe go for the Monkey here. You can stack a card to the top of your deck in case you get Marnied. You would still have it on the next turn. But, like, just imagine trying to be in Moffat's shoes in this game. It's just absolutely excruciating, just trying to find some sort of path in order to play against this deck. This is like what I would consider like tier 3, maybe even tier 4 of a deck, like super non-meta whatsoever, super off-meta. And Moffat is playing one of the most meta decks that there is right now. Especially since it's just such an awful matchup. You gotta really just try to piece together, make as little mistakes as possible, and when you have no matchup, when you have no practice against a matchup like this, and you have to figure the matchup out on the fly to even see if you have any chance of a win, it's just really rough. It's really bad for Moffat here. Really feel for the boy. It looks like we've got double Galarian Weezing in hand, so I guess screw Moffat, right? Jesus Christ. Is that a Forest Seal Stone as well? That's just gross if it is. Brandon's trying to decide what he wants to do here. I mean, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. You just get a you just get a Darkness Energy and you just Severe Poison. Like, you're perfectly fine just doing that. You have the Weezing. Moffat, like, Moffat gets a little stressed out there. He's holding his head. And he's like, yep, this is what I did not want to see. And it looks like we are going to Forest Seal Stone just for a Darkness Energy, in all honesty. He might go for some sort of supporter to try to draw into an energy. Looks like he is eyeing up the Judge. Moffat did stack a whole bunch of cards into his hand. Brandon is trying to decide whether or not it should be worth it to play the Judge or not. I think that you can, even if you miss the Darkness Energy, like, what's Moffat going to do once you have a Weezing active? So just judge that hand so he has the least likelihood of having energy cards in hand to attach to his Raikou and Rayquaza. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, he has 7 cards in hand. Might as well make that 4. That's 3 less. We do see the Temple of Sinnoh and then the Judge. Yep, just playing the Temple of Sinnoh to thin it out of the deck. Do not need to be putting that back in. That's pretty useless in this matchup for both players. So might as well just put it out and get it over with. And we are seeing this is the newest Art of Judge from, I believe, Fusion Strike, it looks like. If I'm looking at that set symbol behind my head correctly here. And I see they're putting Raihan on the screen too. That is Moffat's best chance to be able to set up an attacker as fast as possible. He has a Grass and a Metal in discard already right now. If he is able to attach for turn Raihan, and then just one more attach after that, will power up a Raikou and a Rayquaza, either one. We'll just have to see what he goes for. He does draw those 4 cards. They are pretty dead. We do see a Psychic Energy, but that's not really going to get him very far. He can't even use that for concealed cards because of the Galarian Weezing's neutralizing gas. Also very important to note, Galarian Weezing is a D-block card, so it will rotate. So it will make, even though it will likely become a little bit more popular at this point because of Brandon's run into top 4 here at this tournament, I do believe that it will die off very quickly. We do have rotation here in April. That is only a month away. Which is why I'm not going to even try to playtest this deck. Screw that. If it's just going to rotate in a month. So Moffat does get severe poisoned. Brandon did get into that Darkness Energy. I don't know why I keep trying to say Fighting Energy when Darkness Pokemon are my favorite Pokemon. Darkness and Water types are both my favorite types, which it makes Greninja very fitting, in all honesty. So we are going to get another Raikou out of the deck with this Quick Ball. Again, just thinning, trying to get anything that's not necessarily useful out of the deck and hand as possible. Maybe we'll be more likely to draw into some energy cards in the future. Looks like we are going to go for an Escape Rope. Brandon will choose to put up the other Galarian Weezing. And Moffat will be able to heal that poison off. The problem with this play, though, is Brandon will likely have Galarian Zigzagoon in his deck, which will be able to pick that Comfey off of the bench. So that damage, that extra 2 damage counters from Radiant Hisuian Sneasler. Can't believe there's a Pokemon card that has 3 names. Unbelievable. Although there is Origin Form Palkia V-Star, so that's 4 technically. But anyway, the way its name is written too is really funny because the prefix of the Galarian, Hisuian, Alolan, and everything is always tiny. But since it's Radiant Hisuian Sneasler, it's like big word, tiny word, big word. It's really funny if you look at that card. God, I have so many of those because I bought a case of that set. That was like one of the worst decisions of my life. Paid like, you know, $800 for a case or something like that, and then you only get like $300 worth of value out of it. We do get another Darkness Energy off of this Crobat, so we are able to use Severe Poison yet again for another 6 damage counters. We are going to Hard Retreat into Galarian Zigzagoon and pass. So now if Brandon is able to get his Galarian Zigzagoon, he will be able to potentially take 2 knockouts on these Comfeys. Moffat is trying to stem the bleeding as easily as he can. Just passes here, is going to have to promote something. I'm not sure what you promote. Maybe the Rayquaza. Looks like the Radiant Greninja, that's also fine. That will take 3 turns in order to get knocked out, so that is a good promotion there. Moffat is just trying to buy as many turns as he can to hard attach to this Raikou in order to attack with it. Yep, Moffat does pass again. This Greninja will be knocked out going into Moffat's turn. Looks like we are going to see the Galarian Zigzagoon here as well. That will likely knock out one of the Comfeys, or it could just knock out the active, and then he can choose to Severe Poison a new active Pokemon. So, yep, he is choosing the active, so something else has to come up and will get Severe Poisoned. So Moffat's going to have to choose which one that is. Looks like he's going to go for the Comfey. That will get knocked out immediately going into his turn. So he does put the... Oh, he puts the Raikou up. He is able to Raihan since a Pokemon was knocked out. And attaches for turn, which he grabs from his deck. Since a Pokemon was knocked out... I have to slow down for this second. So... I have to slow down because this is very important, because I was actually reading chat while this was happening. We're going to go back a little bit and we're going to slow this down. So this is what I talk about, how Moffat likes to play fast. He is just a very fast player in general, and the reason why he has been doing so good at events recently is because he was able to slow down his pace of play a bit. He's getting very excited here that he is able to take a knockout. So because the Galarian Zigzagoon was able to knock out the Greninja during Brandon's turn, that does allow the activation of Raihan. A lot of people in the chat were saying that Raihan does not work because of the Comfey getting knocked out due to poison damage, but that is not it. Actually, they were saying Klefki gets knocked out due to poison damage, so shows how smart Twitch chat is. But yes, because the Greninja was knocked out, that does allow Raihan to be played. So we're going to see this now. I'm actually going to... Playback speed, we're going to go to 0.5 times. So this is half speed, because I think this is very important to show. So Moffat will get knocked out here, which will activate the ability for him to play Raihan on this turn. I know it's a little slow, but bear with me. We'll get to the point where it matters to be at this speed. So then Moffat is going to have to promote something else. He is going to promote the Comfey, because that will get knocked out here, because he wants this Raikou to be as fresh as possible. So that gets knocked out due to poison damage from Severe Poison. Now he's going to play the Raihan. He's going to get the Grass Energy out of his discard pile onto the... And yeah, he's saying that that was not knocked out due to poison damage. He's like, yeah, but the Greninja was knocked out during your turn. So he is able to play the Raihan. He does attach, he searches for the Lightning Energy, attaches it for turn. He will now be able to knock out this Galarian Weezing, along with putting, or was that damage? I don't think this was damaged yet. He will be able to put 120 onto both of these Pokemon. Now, this is where Moffat messes up royally. So he's playing very fast because he's excited to be able to do literally anything in this game, and this shuts off the part of his brain that's saying, play slower. And he puts down Oranguru. And then he looks at the top. He switches out a card from his hand with the top card of the deck. He sees that this is a Psychic Energy. And then immediately realizes what he did. Not only is his opponent saying you can't do that because of Weezing, but Moffat is realizing it at the same time as well. And he's like, oh shoot. And he drops it. He like kind of throws it on accident. And he just puts his hand in his head like, oh no, I royally screwed up. So some people, my friends included, are arguing that this is unsportsmanlike conduct because he threw the card. Now, even at this speed, we can tell that that is, in my opinion, not unsportsmanlike conduct. He did screw up. He realizes that he screwed up, and he is willing to face the penalties here. He is going to tell the judges that he did see the top card of the deck. He did make an illegal action in using that ability under ability lock. And they are going to give him a 2 prize penalty. Moffitt is not going to appeal or anything because he knows that he done goofed. And yeah, so he messed up because he was able to play, essentially because he was able to get this Raikou up and going. He now gets a 2 prize penalty. That is going to leave Brandon at 1 prize card remaining. And Moffitt does effectively lose the game from that accident. So, yep, Moffitt done messed up. This is why Moffitt now has to remember to play slow. There was a tournament where a friend of ours beat his Swampert control deck with Blacephalon because of reasons like this. Moffitt just plays too fast and just makes one critical error, lack of judgment. So I do feel bad for him. I probably would have made the same mistake in the exact position as him as well. I would have been so excited to play the game that I would just start playing cards, completely forgetting about the ability lock. So yep, 100%. I've done stuff like this before. Honesty. And yeah, so they are all conferring. Moffitt is like, I can't really hear what Moffitt's saying. I haven't really talked to him about what happened here, but Moffitt is likely just saying that, oh yeah, I saw the top card of my deck. I tried to use Oranguru under ability lock. It's all my fault. I deserve a double prize card penalty. He was going to lose this game either way. He had some small window of hope being able to attack with that Raikou there, but he's not even going to be knocking out those Weezings. So, again, what are you going to do? So, that is the game. Moffitt, very unfortunate. I do feel bad for you. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry that this had to be on stream because that was awful. That whole thing was a mess to watch. But as always, guys, do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe. The deck that I say is the worst deck ever made. The deck that plays nothing but Lugia counters, that never counters Lugia, ends up making it to the finals. I've eaten my words from previously. That video that got dislikes on it, I apologize that I underestimated Eternatus VMAX, Galarian Weezing. They even called the head judge over for this ruling as well. But yeah, I mean, it's very clear. Moffitt saw the top card of his deck. He gets a double prize card penalty. You can't reverse the gaining of information like that. So, yep, just a reminder to all of you to not play too fast and to take your time. And if you're in a matchup that is this as one-sided as this, maybe don't play it out. Maybe just scoop the game so that they won't put you on stream. Because, oh god, I would hate to play this. I'm sorry, Mom. I feel so bad. I feel so bad. But yeah, we will see you guys next time. Again, do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe because that feeds the YouTube algorithm. We can see more games come up in the future. We will see you guys for the finals.